Welcome back to Truth Hurts, where we expose corrupt politicians and lying corporate media. We'll be doing a lot of that today. Oh boy, this is going to be a really interesting episode. We're broadcasting live from Roseville, Minnesota, in the belly of the beast, the liberal zombie apocalypse of Minneapolis and St. Paul. This episode is brought to you by Alpine Cabinetry in East St. Cloud. Also brought to you by Warren Wessel of Warren Wessel Realty. If you're buying a home, selling a home, give my good friend Warren Wessel a call at 612-419-7453. Almost got that number memorized. So close to it. Join me as usual is MAGA Jesse. How you doing, MAGA Jesse?
Doing good. And yeah, we got Tucker, JM, Teddy, and Napkin 8 saying hola amigos in the comments.
All of them are saying it, hola?
Well, Napkin 8 is. And JM Teddy, hello from Minnetonka, and good afternoon, says Tucker. Today we got a great show. We got Mark Bishofsky, the one and only, in the building here today to discuss the updates on Otter Tail County. We're also going to be going over a piece of legislation in Minnesota for transgenders to be involved in school sports. And is it COVID 2.0 with the bird flu?
Do you know about this story yet? Have you been tracking the bird flu?
Just a little bit. I was going to dig into it, but I haven't had the time.
Okay, I don't think we'll get to it with your time.
The headline I saw from a trusted source is like, this is bull crap.
Yeah, exactly. You can read right through the lines. Run the dials as always, Mr. Deep State himself, Dawson.
Hi, everybody. Good afternoon.
Okay. This show isn't possible without you, the viewers. If you want to interrupt us any time and support our show, click the Rumble rant, and we'll be forced to read your comment live on air. This show is also made possible by our great sponsors and our newest sponsor, Galt Mortgage Company. John Galt Mortgage Company. You've read Atlas Shrugged, haven't you?
No, I haven't.
Have you not?
I need to.
Yeah, you kind of need to. That's definitely in your viewpoint, right?
Yeah.
So John Galt Mortgage Company, started by good Minnesotan young men who believe in the things that we believe in, but not only that, they don't do it secretly. They use the company to promote the ideas of liberty. And all I can say is just go to their social media accounts and you'll see exactly what I'm talking about, posting multiple times a day, things that you and I would agree with. You'd be like, is a company really taking that risk? So, John Galt Mortgage Company, go to johngaltmortgage.com. Boy, wouldn't that be good if they could figure out a way when someone types in Google, who is John Galt, it goes right to their company. Have they done that? Maybe they have. That'd be a good idea. What was that? Oh, yeah, make sure you like and subscribe to the show. What am I forgetting before we get into? Oh, we got an after show, OT today, after an hour, only available on locals. If you want to do it, we got some stuff. I mean, the whole point of our exclusive content is things you will definitely not see anywhere else, things that only maybe come across our faces, or what am I trying to say? Our screens, okay? I don't want to give it away, okay? Just if you want to sign up, if you're not already a monthly subscriber, go to click on the join on our Rumble channel. Okay, let's get into it. Mark Bishofsky. First of all, a lot of people know you in the audience, okay? But I think it would be helpful for people to understand your journey into the political fold, which is very recent, which ended up having you put on the MNGOP State Executive Committee, which is like it is the swamp, basically, of the Republican Party, which is one of the three major parties. I don't know. Is it still a major party in the marijuana side there, Jesse?
I've been tracking.
I don't like to talk bad about swamps. Swamps are beautiful places. It's a septic system where the scum floats to the top. It's really is.
Tell people how you got involved in politics.
So, I was the Stop the Mandate guy, respiratory therapist. Was watching the garbage hospital protocols. Everything that was happening just really ticked me off. I'm not even comfortable yet. I'm getting more comfortable with these cameras, but I never wanted any attention. I never wanted to run for office. One thing led to another. I ran. So I quit my job, started holding rallies in August 2021, and then, ran for State House of Representatives and was railroaded by the establishment, the MNGOP establishment.
Let's explain that. There's two real big things they did to you. And by the way, you won your endorsement in your local GOP by 80%. You just need 60% to win the endorsement. You won it by 80%. So, it was 82. The voice of the people. So there's two big infractions that happened against you in the primary because they ran a candidate against you. 3 now that I can think of it. Do you remember? You know what I'm referring to?
I believe so. I mean, you have them and having Riley run against me. They recruited her, I'm sure.
Yep.
I don't really think she really wanted to do it.
Oh, really?
I don't think she would have without them coming to her and recruiting her. I don't think she would have.
Okay. Well, they ran her against. I was gonna say they cut off your data access.
Yeah, and
Okay.
lied.
They lied about it, and this is the GOP. Okay, under David Hand, they the HRCC, which is an affiliate of the Republican Party of Minnesota, wouldn't invite you to their weekly calls, and they actually had your opponent, who was not the endorsed candidate, attending like their press conference and their weekly calls.
Yeah.
Okay, and then number 3, they spent, and this isn't directly the party, but Tommy Miracle, we'll talk about today, his Jobs Coalition spent, I think, $70,000.
Yeah,
against you, something
his
like that.
organization, I think, around 45K. Total, it was like 70K that was spent against me by Republican establishment type of groups.
Yes.
So yeah, it's and they lied. I'm the Stop the Mandate guy. I was very clearly against vaccine mandates, and they put out that flyer saying I was for vaccine mandates.
And they called you a Democrat because,
Yeah.
like some Republicans who had nothing to vote for. In the
Operation
president's
Chaos, man. Rush
Yeah.
Limbaugh. You go and you rattle the DFL cage.
Yeah, so you went and voted for like Tulsi Gabbard
Tulsi.
instead of Biden. Yeah,
A lot of people did.
Yeah, a lot. I know lots of people that did that stuff. And then they said you were a Democrat.
Yeah, and they know I'm not.
Right.
It's just it's the you find out when you get into this, the political games, and you think it's a swamp or a septic system, you think it's corrupt, but until you get into it and feel it, it's horrible.
Yes. Okay, so you end up losing that race because mini blue wave that happened in the Twin Cities Metro. If we're being honest, that's basically what happened. People I know encourage you to run for state executive, which is 15 members, the inner team of the Minnesota GOP. So like basically the shot callers, so to speak. And you ran in Congressional District 4 and won overwhelmingly. And so you're the rep.
70%, 70-30, something like that, 73-27.
There you go.
Overwhelmingly, first vote. And I ran on transparency. That needs to be said. My speech was all about, you need to know what's happening. I'm not going to hide anything. I'm here to provide you transparency, let you know what's happening. I think that's important. That's what I ran on.
And you being here and unloading on the state exec committee, which just took a terrible vote to disenfranchise the voice of hundreds of delegates in Otter Tail County, would be considered treasonous to these people, right?
Yeah, I'm sure they're going to love this.
But you ran on transparency,
Yeah.
right? And they don't believe that at all. Now, before we get started, I got a letter, I bet a lot of you guys did, from David Hand himself. The Minnesota Republican Party wants my money. Act today and get a full refund of your contribution. Help us stop the madness. By the way, one of the things they accuse the Democrats of is censoring free speech for conservatives. Well, boy, isn't that a beaut right there? The last one. Let's see if I can do that. Censoring free speech for conservatives. Last I checked, David Hand, you're censoring a lot of speech for hundreds of delegates, conservative delegates in Otter Tail County. All right, now some people don't know this story, so I created a timeline so that we could go through this here. Many people that are watching this from outside of Minnesota, let's pull up this timeline here, Dawson, that aren't aware of how Minnesota does politics. We are a caucus state, which means anyone that associates with the Republican Party or actually the Democrat Party or any of the other parties can actually go and caucus in a precinct, which is the lowest political unit in the state of Minnesota, and try to change the system. Imagine you had a very corrupt party. This allows anyone to fix the corruption in the party. And how do you organize? At the lowest level possible, the precinct. So on February 27th, the Otter Tail County Board, which is run by Tommy Miracle in some regards, right, tries to stop the grassroots from running their own precinct caucus. Am I seeing Tammy Berry's in our...
Yep, she says, Otter Tail County says, thank you for your support and for the transparency.
And I assume she's saying that to you, Mark. And I've told them, I'm like, listen, Mark is a champion for you guys. I'll tell you that much. And you guys will see more and more. And I'm glad Tammy's watching because I think she's probably going to learn some things from what you have to say today. Tammy, by the way, replaced Tommy Miracle by a massive vote to run as the convener on that caucus night in she wasn't Fergus Falls, she was in Perham. They had 2 locations. Okay. So the Otter Tail County Board tries to stop the voting from occurring. There's lots of video proof of this and tons of testimony. March 5th, Minnesota GOP Chair Han unilaterally decides to remove all 2024 Otter Tail delegates. Just unilaterally decides. He said he conferred with some people. Now, you're on the state executive committee, Mark. You are, ipso facto, the damn boss of David Han, right?
It's unilateral. He'll say it wasn't because Anna Matthews and apparently the
But she's
attorney.
not on the executive committee.
Right, but it's unilateral. He didn't have to do it. It's up to him to do it. It's unilateral.
Yeah. All right. So March 5th, he unilaterally decides to and doesn't confer and doesn't tell you guys on the state exec committee. So in other words, just to make an obvious point here, if you're going to disenfranchise the voice of hundreds of people who came to caucus, you probably shouldn't make that decision alone. You should probably at least, I don't know, have the state executive committee weigh in. I would argue you can't do it in the first place, but I would argue maybe the whole state central committee, which is like 300 people, decide on it. But he decided himself, the only voting guy at the state party. March 12th, the state exec, and I believe you were the one to call for this convention, and then a couple people, this
Emergency meeting. Yeah.
MNGOP state exec suspends Han's decision at this meeting and votes to create a task force to reinstate Otter Tail County delegates. All right. So I've got this stuff correct?
Yeah.
All right.
That's accurate.
And your understanding was the task force's design was to eventually figure out how to make this process work for the people that were getting disenfranchised.
That was my understanding, and I felt like very confident that they were going to come out of there. I mean, when you have, 12, 14 legislators pushing to reinstate the delegates. I mean, I got hundreds of calls, text, emails asking me to reinstate the 2024 delegates. The only person I talked to on the establishment side was Laura Miracle, but there was no push.
Just Tommy Miracle's wife.
Yeah, there's no push from the establishment side to do anything. It was all the grassroots, hundreds and hundreds of people, and not just from Otter Tail. People are watching from all over the state, watching this happen. They understand the consequence.
Yeah, and I'd say it's way more than that because we know some people got over 1,000 contact points. I think a lot of people just knew you were already going to vote the right way.
Yeah.
So you probably got the small end of it. Let's go to the comment section here before we move on.
Yeah, Carol Hexum says, Mark is in the midst of dirty water and the rats and the snakes.
Carol was at the Perham location.
Brad Ganser says, nice graphic, Jake. Excellent job on show
Thanks
prep.
for noticing,
And,
Brad.
I'm gonna go crazy.
Whip Emmerfud says, Jake, why are you hurting Michelle's chances at holding this seat?
Oh, man. I love it. All right, so March 18th, Otter Tail County legislators send a letter to MNGOP calling for Otter Tail County delegates to be reinstated immediately. This is Jeff Backer and Tom Murphy. Very impressed with Tom Murphy. Actually, to be honest, Jeff Backer, too.
Yeah, they were both good.
So many other legislators end up joining them. I didn't know this until just yesterday. 14 total state house members joined that call. Walter Hudson was on it.
Franzen, several. I can't remember.
Mike Weiner, I saw. So they call. So this thing is momentum. Legislators are calling for March 21st. You guys have your regularly held meeting on Thursday night, and the MNGOP state exec. Your belief going into that meeting was what?
I was going to find out who's on the task force for one. I figured I'd at least learn that.
Yep.
I don't know what I would do with that information, and I actually made a motion that night too to just reinstate them.
Yep.
I just kept, being consistent. Like, we just need to reinstate them. This is the right thing to do. It's obvious. It's so obvious that was the right thing to do. But no, I got called out of order on that motion.
These scumbags. Okay, then Han refuses to tell you guys who's on the actual task force.
Yeah.
So you guys voted in for a special task force. Han then decides, I don't know if he even appointed them at that point, but says, I'm not going to tell you who's on it.
Right. And
I just got to say this, excuse my French, how the fuck did you guys let him get away with that? Right there. That should have ended. Han, you're gone. You were removing you because I think you guys can vote to remove him.
Yeah, we'd have to do
codified
2/3 vote at the state exec level, which brings the threshold down to a majority vote at state central. So we can't remove him. Yeah, let's just be clear here, too. This is a man making $100,000 a year to piss all over the grassroots base.
Yeah.
$100K. We're making nothing. I'm driving, spending hours and hours a month to try to do what's right for the people, for our party. He's getting paid, and he, a tool for the donor class. I don't know. Gloves are off. I'm done with this shit. You didn't want me at the table earlier? Well, I'm here, and my gloves are off.
That's right. And I wouldn't want to mute you at all. I wouldn't want to censor free speech for conservatives, right, David Han? I wouldn't want to do that. But, of course, he would love to censor you here. It's probably going to be retribution for you coming on the show and being honest and
Bring
transparent.
it. Let's do it.
I'm just surprised how many wussies, let's just be honest, the state exec won't stand up to David Han.
I don't understand it. I think there's just this, they want to just follow along. They don't want to rock the boat. I mean, I think, there's some good people. Deep down, I think most of them are decent people. I mean, obviously, Wendy Phillips is awesome. I like Joe Ditto. I think they're, awesome people.
Yeah, and I do want to tell the story of the people that vote the right way. Let's go to the comment section so make sure I don't miss this. They're moving fast.
Billy22 says FDH, so I guess we can guess what DH stands for there. Susie Scarella says we all fluently speak French when we discuss this. Freedom Junkie says hats off to Mark. Love Minnesota says thank you, Mark. And Razzle Dazzle says remove him.
Yeah. All right. Wait, what's the whip Emmer Futt? Well, let's hear what the establishment says. Bobby said they didn't want people in the task force to get flooded by A4L calls. Not everyone can handle that pressure. Take it from me. I support the national popular vote and voted for big fat continuing resolutions.
Hey, if you didn't want calls and emails, then don't sign up. And that's the thing. It's like this they want so much secrecy. I don't understand it still. Sure, if we're talking political strategy, which it's important to keep some of it secret. I mean, as if the DFL doesn't know basically what we're going to do. But if there's anything that shouldn't be out there, I'm going to be secretive.
Yeah.
But I have nothing, when it comes to votes like this, I have nothing to hide. I will explain my vote to anyone who wants to talk to me. Like, what are they hiding? They know they're doing the wrong shit, so they don't want anyone to know. That's right. That's as simple as that.
That's why you wouldn't want to expose.
They'll never admit it.
You're doing the wrong thing. It's so obvious.
They'll never admit it. But liars are liars. Sociopaths are sociopaths.
Yeah.
No empathy.
This sport of politics just welcomes those kind of sociopaths. By the way, I have a sense who Emmer Fudd is.
So is that an establishment hack?
No. It's
just having fun.
I love how he says, "Take it from me. I support the national popular vote." Oh God, it's so funny. Yeah. Tom Emmer supported national popular vote. He was a paid spokesman for it. Isn't that crazy? All right, this isn't about Emmer. We could talk about Emmer another day. All right, so he actually doesn't on March 21st does not tell the state exec board, his bosses, who the hell is on the task force that they voted for. It's just beyond me that he could get away with that bullshit. Okay. Then you have almost 2 weeks of absolutely no action. Han runs the clock out. He literally does nothing. Okay. It wasn't until, I think Sunday night. So this is March 31st, Transgender Day of Visibility.
All right.
That there's actually a call for another state executive meeting, and then Han goes, let's meet Tuesday night. The task force is meeting on Monday. So April 1st, isn't that funny? I didn't even think of that day. April 1st, Fool's Day, the secret task force meets for the first and only time, allegedly 4 hours. Only 2 Otter Tail County grassroots are appointed to the task force. They're overruled by the majority. They dissent from the opinion of the task force, which gets lied about. And then let's bring you up to date. April 2nd, Tuesday evening. This is the first show we've done since this meeting occurred. The MNGOP state exec votes, in my opinion, to block an Otter Tail County convention, thus disenfranchising the Otter Tail County delegates. Now, I'm not saying that there isn't other options for these guys. By the way, you assholes at the MNGOP probably just brought on some legal action against you guys. So good job on that one. more wasted money that didn't need to happen, but this is your own damn fault for doing this. Because you know what? They just hope that the grassroots just walks away and doesn't do anything about it.
They hope they walk away and don't vote, then they can move center right and become more like Democrats. Take the party, you know. They don't care.
They do not care. It's unbelievable. They pretend that the real enemy is, well, we got to stop the madness of the Democrats. But you know what? David Hand has been seen with the head of the Democrats. What's that? Ken Martin. More times than me in the last month. He won't even come on a show. He was not willing to debate us.
Yeah, I don't blame him.
You know, if you want to unify, David Hand, come on the show and let's get the record out there, okay? Instead, that guy lies about our organization all the time to people.
Yeah, they lied about I'm sure we'll mention it, the consensus. Apparently there was a consensus at the Otter Tail Task Force that, the recommendation, there was a consensus that we shouldn't have a convention, which was a lie. Lied. He lied. Others lied. Lied. Liars.
Okay, so Sunday night, I think you were telling me there was an email exchange amongst members of the state exec. Sounded pretty good. And Tim Miller, the rep from CD7, this is all in Congressional District 7, by the way. Otter Tail County, Congressional District 7. It's the largest faction, by the way, county in Otter Tail, or in all CD7. They get like 37 delegates. And Tim Miller is saying that he's going to make the motion to call a convention, which the state exec can do, according to Article 8 of the Minnesota GOP Constitution, and that he's going to make a motion to reinstate all the 2024 delegates.
Right.
So here we are, Tuesday, April 2nd. This is 48 hours after him communicating with you guys.
Something changed.
And what did Tim Miller do?
He made the motion to have no convention.
Wow.
Did not make the motion to call a convention or to reinstate the 2024 delegates. I don't know what happened.
Yeah.
And that, I was still going to make a motion, but, I couldn't. The motion was on the table and it passed. And at that point, there was no way I could make a motion to reinstate them.
Were all the state exec members there? The 15?
Bobby Benson was not. Chamberlain wasn't there. I don't know if he's even voting.
So
Prolenka was there. That guy. Barb Sutter wasn't there, I don't think.
So she did not vote?
Correct.
And so Chamberlain didn't vote, and then Bobby Benson had somebody.
He had a minion there who, voted with the establishment.
Okay.
Dustin something.
All right. So basically, and I think this is maybe hard for some people to follow, but essentially, in order for the Otter Tail County delegates to be in place, there's got to be a convention, because otherwise, what's the point of being a delegate? It's to actually have representation at a convention. So the local BPOU wasn't going to call a convention. They're run by the establishment. They don't want to have a convention because, remember, if there's no convention by rule, the 2022 delegates remain in effect for another 2 years. Right?
And that's what they want. That's what they're trying to
want.
run the clock out for. That's why they stalled at the caucus. I mean, they're smart.
Yeah.
Evil, but smart.
It is very evil, because let's go back to that timeline real quick. Remember, there's a ticking time clock. They can only have a convention all the way up to April 16th, which means 10 days prior they have to make a call, April 6th. I mean, essentially they have 2 more days to make a call to have a convention on the last day of the ability to call it. And you see that big, long period. I see I'm in the way on this one. Yeah, there you go. It says no action, hand runs the clock out. He literally purposely did that.
He won.
Yeah, he won. Well, he won this round, I guess.
He lost in a sense that he's done.
What do you mean by that?
He's not going to ever be after this term is up, if he doesn't get voted out between now and the next election for the chair. If you ask me, he's done.
This is what upsets me, though. Any rational mind would look at David Hand and realize this guy's a scumbag and shouldn't be in charge of the GOP. I've been a Republican since like high school. Even in college, I ran the college Republicans. My friend Andy Parrish was on here. We kind of ran the college Republicans. We helped the George Bush campaign. Sounded like the right thing at the time. Okay, I've been a Republican a long time. Okay, there's times where I'm just like, screw the Republican Party, But I love the people of the Republican Party, the grassroots people. Quite frankly, not all the people in the Democrat Party at the lower ranks are bad people either. It's just the scumbags. And the scumbags on the leadership on both parties really kind of seem like the same people. In fact, they get along so well. They are seen in public all the time. There's this really funny picture I took like the first session, I think. And you got Bobby Joe Champion. He's the president of the Democrat Senate here in Minnesota from, I think he's Minneapolis to St. Paul. Huge lefty. And after he gavels out for the day, the cameras stay on him, and there's Eric Pratt from very conservative Prior Lake comes up, and they embrace in this big hug and handshake. It's like they're buddies. They're all buddies. It's just it's a show for you guys. Mort used to say it's WWE. I see a ton of comments. Let's go to the comments here before I continue.
Tammy K. Berry said, Tim asked me to send him a prepared convention call so the MNGOP wouldn't have to do so much of the work when he said he would make the motion to call our convention.
So Tammy's saying Tim Miller, who's her rep basically on state exec, said he was going to make the motion. So he lied to one of the organizers and big activists in Otter Tail County right there.
Freedom Junkie says, unify, not uniparty. Whip Emerfund says, David will be fine. Remember, we can control the delegates. When will you guys understand that the grassroots only think they have the power? We only let you think that. Oh, okay.
Somewhat true.
I know, it's actually funny. The truth sometimes does come out from the troll accounts. What is Han will not run again? Mark's turn? No, Mark.
Yeah,
Mark
I don't think he will.
guy.
I mean, he's tainted. I mean,
But
sorry,
that's
David.
the problem.
Sorry.
He lost every election in 2022, and yet he was able to get reelected. Now, granted, no one ran against him. I mean,
people
no one
will
really.
this time, though. I mean, the eyes are open now. You know, and we're not going to win back the House. I don't think after this.
Yeah.
You know, we had a record amount of disengaged voters in 2022. It's just going to grow now. People are so pissed off. This is not how you win doing what they did. I mean, that's the thing is like. Apparently, we didn't have the power to reinstate the delegates. I believe per the Constitution, we could only make a recommendation.
No, it's not even true. I mean, that's what they were saying. At the end of the day,
I don't know what the facts are.
No, the facts are that they can call a convention.
But then who would be the delegates and who chooses who are
whoever is in charge of the credentials?
And that would
we literally laid this out. Action for Liberty put together the plan. Okay.
Well, whether or not you could do it or not, the right thing to do was to show support for the people.
Yeah.
And that would have went a long way to unify people. Like, shit, the MNGOP is not completely toxic. I can still be a part of this.
There you go. Exactly. And that's what you should do is you should have this bias towards the grassroots. Here's and I've heard this argument and somewhat penetrated, but I just don't understand. Like, the arguments are much better on the grassroots side here. So I think there's other things at play. But here's the argument they're making, like Hans making. This is the BPOU, okay? That's basically Otter Tail County. They call it BPOU in Minnesota. The state executive can't tell these guys what to do, right? That's their logic. You don't want the big state party coming down and telling these guys what to do, okay? But these guys are telling these guys down here at the precinct what to do. So why do they get to tell them what to do, but we can't do anything about this? It's like bullshit. You guys do this all the time when it benefits you.
Kitson County.
Kitson County, great example. David Hand decides we're going to not recognize Kitson County anymore as a GOP unit. Unilaterally decides that. By the way, lies on what? That they're not up to date with the campaign finance board. It was a lie. It wasn't true at all. They do this whenever it benefits them. But guess what? If you're talking about I'm holier than thou, and we aren't going to be top down like the Democrats, because the Democrats really are bad at this, well then, why doesn't this get pushed up? Because last I checked, the precincts are the ones that have a caucus. And they formed a perfectly good caucus to develop and determine who is going to represent them at the next level, the BPOU. And if you want to get rid of corruption, you actually have to let the grassroots rise up.
Yeah.
And these assholes say, no, we're taking the principal position. We can't go top down, right? Bullshit. You're coming in and saying, no, we're going to be with the bottom. We're going to be with the grassroots, the floor of this whole thing. These guys are so obviously corrupt. They're always going to go with whatever helps their benefactors.
The donor class.
The donor
it
class,
seems
yes.
to be Fishbach, Miracles. I mean, really, that's probably where this is coming from. I would think, to a certain degree. But yeah, I think what's going to happen here is the next time around, you're going to have a lot more people like me at the table at state executive.
I agree with you on that, Mark.
So it's like, you don't want me there, obviously. They don't respect me. I know this. Well, you're going to have a lot more of me. And gloves are going to be off. And I'm going to recruit them. And I'm going to whip the votes for them.
Do you know how hated I am by this class of people? They sneer. They hate my guts. You tell me. They talk about me often.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, who's the leaker, who's leaking to, who's telling Jake? You come up several, Action for Liberty or Jake Duesenberg comes up.
By the way, David
times.
and I were at an event last Thursday. That guy didn't have shit to say to me. And I was being respectful, so I called him out in front of everyone about supporting Grayson McNew. I didn't want to ruin the event for the people. It was an event to support Tom DePel and Grayson McNew as the endorsed candidates.
Went to that, huh?
Yeah, so I actually
after
was
he hosed DePel?
after Hannah's done talking, I go, "Will you publicly endorse Grayson McNew?"
Did he?
And he said yes. So I go, "There you go, Grayson. You got a press release." But I was like, man, it killed me not to just call him out in Otter Tail County and address him. By the way, I was wearing the rhino jacket, and the knife I had on there, it said hand on it.
Yeah, I saw the picture of that. Yeah.
But yeah, he walks right by me, doesn't even want to look at me, doesn't have shit to say to me. But, and there's, I quite frankly wanted to just say a bunch of shit to him there, but I was like, what good is it to interrupt this event? I'd rather get him on camera. Come on camera. Why don't you talk, big guy? Let's go to Rumble Rant here.
Tucker91, $5 Rumble Rant says, we need a new party, a greater party for a greater Minnesota, the Greater Minnesota Party, GMNP.
But why? Why do we need a different party? These guys are the ones that suck. Where are you going to start the party up, Tucker? Do you want to start?
Our platform is good.
Do.
The MNGOP platform is just fine. I mean, you got the Constitutional Republic Party that, Bull Johnson started, but he's running as GOP.
Yes, because Bull probably realizes to get a party going, get the masses behind it, it's too much work. The Republican Party has a pretty damn good foundation, by the way, an anti-slavery party, right? Because quite frankly, it feels like we're still fighting against slavery. That's what the Democrats want to do. They don't want to ever say it that way, but they want to enslave you to the almighty God, which is government.
Oh, we're a little enslaved. I mean, extortion at gunpoint with taxes.
Exactly.
And, it's like we are kind of pseudo-slaves.
Love Minnesota, but all the good people love you, Jake. Thank you, love Minnesota. Boy, I love that. That's right, because that's how I sleep well at night, because I got friends outside of politics, I don't
friends in politics. If you're not
true.
Hated in this game, then you're not doing anything.
That's exactly it. And the scum. So listen, the people that literally make these decisions. By the way, we're unretiring Ash Rash now.
Yep.
Right?
I never retired it.
It was on hold, I believe. Last
it was
show
on
I
hold,
watched.
right? Yeah, I mean. No, it is what it is. I've told you guys from the beginning he's an establishment piece of shit, so it is what it is. Of course, he was going to side with the establishment, not recognize these Otter Tail County delegates. I guess he fooled some people in the process. Never me. So it's okay. We can admit we were wrong, and Ass Rash is still Ass Rash.
He'd go with the wind, though. If you had a good chair, he'd go with that chair.
But I have to judge him going with the bad chair. It's
right.
Like,
Anyone who's going to go with the
wind. As long as he doesn't have Hitler, he'll do the right thing.
Right.
Yeah, but you still went along with Hitler. Not saying that David Hand's Hitler. He's a little bit. No, I'm just kidding.
He's a little better than Hitler.
Quite
a bit. David, you're a lot better than
Hitler.
What I'm saying there? No comparison there. Hitler was bad.
Jake compares Hand to Hitler.
Yeah, let's not go there. He's nowhere near that.
No, good. No, but I'm just trying to use the extreme to make the point here. Is like you're going along with, because it's evil in many regards. It's anti-grassroots. Who's
that's
calling
the
shots?
party?
Yeah,
those are the people, like Backer said, the people that are coming out to put signs in yards, to knock doors, to walk in parades. Those are those delegates that just got pissed on. Those are the people that are helping out. That's how we win. That is exactly, and it's they must not care if they win elections.
Well, I mean, literally, like we're talking about no statewide elections won by the GOP since 2000 and what are we talking about? 2006. 18 years.
It's weak. It's so weak, and I'll bring it up one more time. DePel was, he's just in the presence of Han or whatever at this event. DePel should have won and would have won had David Han spoke up and done something about what they were doing to him.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
He only needed 152 votes to flip. He would have won hands down if the party would have supported him instead of fighting him. We would have had none of this legislation passed, and I put that all on David Hand's shoulders. He's the chair of the party. He could have denounced. He could have publicly censored. He could have done a lot. He could have made people get out there and knock doors. Like, call this out. You can't be doing this.
The Senate Victory Fund staff was door knocking for Tony Jurgens.
Yeah.
The Senate Victory Fund is an affiliate or a subservient group of the Minnesota GOP. David Hand will tell you, well, there's nothing I can do about it.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. You're only the CEO of the Republican Party.
There's nothing he can do about it until he wants to do something about it for his minions.
Yes, which is cutting off that access for Tom DePel, which they did.
It's like they waffle. Like when it comes to, there was this whole concept of who were the delegates in 2024 in Otter Tail because of the time restraints. Like we can't do it because the election didn't start within an hour or whatever. But if it was to appease them, it was okay to make them the delegates. It's just like, in which scenario can we use this perspective?
Exactly.
It's strategy. It's political strategy. It's just garbage.
We got K-Wall for life.
K-Wall
Been a
for
while
life
on
says,
a live episode.
there is an entire generation of Minnesotans who have never seen a Republican hold state level office.
That's a really good point, yeah. I mean, of 18 years, you got a first-time voter that's never seen a Republican elect. I'd never thought of that. Very good point. Leave it to K-Wall or his better half T-Wall to make the great points on the show. Not me. Oh, man, we got the best. It's really been a while. I don't think K-Wall's been in the comment section for a while. He's probably too busy. Okay, let's go through the people on the state exec committee. Let's get down to I think the people deserve to know because these votes are not public. Like, I get my intel from sources, and then they go and accuse people of being leakers. Right?
Yeah,
in fact, why won't you tell people how to vote?
There was a motion. Bergstrom made a motion at the regular schedule meeting to, what was the word? You stop all business with MNGOP indefinitely until the leaker comes forward.
Yeah.
So they were just going to halt any business. No
Donna
more meetings.
Bergstrom's been bad on all this stuff.
Oh yeah, she's just going to go along.
What's interesting about her is she acts like she comes from the same ranks. It was she came to this headquarters a year ago or something like that, trying to extend an olive branch. They all tried to extend an olive branch at one point. I never believed these people, by the way. Then she texts us. Oh, this is in 2022. Sorry. In 2022, she texts us right at the end of filing deadline. Help! We need to find a candidate in Duluth. Do you know anyone that will run in Duluth? Can you help us? Action for Liberty, help us! And then it was weeks later, David Hand puts out this email to all Republicans saying Action for Liberty is a fraud group. And their purpose is to hurt Republicans or work against Republicans. Literally, David Hand lying to all Republicans about Action for Liberty.
Yeah, that's
and it was weeks before his deputy chair is begging us to help out with candidate recruitment.
Was that the email where he said Action for Liberty is disrupting parades and stuff? Because that was a parade I was in, and it was Bill Youngbauer, who has nothing to do with Action for Liberty.
Yeah, I know Bill.
He kind of,
but
it wasn't him. He did it. He did it on his own. He came up to me and he's like, "Riley's in this parade. She's running against you. You're endorsed. I'm gonna go and harass her." And he did. And I was like, "Man, you probably shouldn't do that. I don't think that's cool. You're not going to accomplish
tell the
anything."
Reverend what to do.
Yeah, but it's I didn't want him causing, at a 4th of July parade,
Bill,
he was insulting
as they say
her.
in the South, bless his heart.
Yeah,
He means
it's
well.
fine.
Yeah.
He's a great guy.
I like
great
Bill.
conservative.
Now I actually realize that I did know about that, so maybe that's what they're referencing, which is bullshit. I know Bill Youngbauer, but
it's not part of Action for Liberty.
And then they say we were disrupting conventions. Anyhow, big lie. But it was just funny because weeks before, Donna Bergstrom is like, help us, we need a candidate in Duluth. Friggin' frauds. Okay, Lee Prinkle, we've covered him many times.
That guy, you know what, Lee? I'm sure they'll watch this. It's gonna get out. He tries to be a funny guy. He just seems so greasy to me.
Yeah.
Sorry. Again, gloves off.
Yep. Okay, let's go with. So we've got GOP
the Sutters.
Well, let's go. Oh yes, we got committee man. We've already talked about Ash Rash. I didn't know the guy. I wasn't going to call him Ash Rash. That was your thing. But screw you guys. If you vote against the grassroots, screw you guys. Ash Rash.
Yeah.
All right.
And
then you got Barb Sutter. She wasn't even there.
Barb wasn't there.
Did she ever talk about this issue?
Not that I recall. And she would have went along with Han. I'm sure of
most
it.
likely. CD1, we got the lovely Wendy Phillips.
Wendy's amazing.
Yeah, Wendy comes from, actually, it's a funny story how she was found. Mort was out there when he was the legislator talking to people, and he'd give his cell phone away, and she called him, and she wanted to get active. And, like, she went from, like, not really involved in politics to now on the state executive committee in, like, 2 years' time. Kind of like you, basically.
Similar to me,
Yep.
yeah.
CD2, Joe Ditto. Now, we know Joe for quite some time.
Joe's a good guy.
Yeah. And he voted. So both Wendy and Joe voted against that awful motion. Oh, I forgot. We have the secretary, Jenna Dix.
Jenna's amazing. I love Jenna. She's
Okay.
good. She's going to do the right thing, you know.
And she voted the right way on that motion.
I think
as
she
well.
maybe sometimes, and it's easy to get intimidated by these people. So I can't fault her. You know, she's strong. She's gonna vote the right way.
Good. Okay. CD3, that's Randy Sutter.
Gonna go along with the crowd. He's gonna go along with David Han.
Not going to stand up and do the right thing.
No,
CD4 is you. CD5, Alec Beck.
he voted the right way.
All right. We know Alec's son.
You know, I respect Alec. I don't think he always does the right thing, but you know, and I'm not here to. Definitely, I'm not gonna say anything bad about Alec. He's to me,
We'll say this. He voted the right way on that motion. That's good.
Yeah.
And I honestly was a little surprised to hear that. All right. So CD6, Bobby Benson wasn't there.
establishment.
Yeah, total establishment.
Probably as deep as they get, in my opinion.
Yeah. Who's the guy that replaced him? Do you know?
Dustin something or other.
something?
He was on Zoom. He went right along. I'm sure he was given orders.
Yeah, I'm sure. CD7, Tim Miller. Your synopsis on Tim Miller at this point.
You know,
Because he pretended like he was a good guy, and then he screws him in the
well,
end.
right, and you hear from people from historically, like Mort said, he's a stand-up guy, honest. He might not be the greatest politician, but had some respect for him. And I think same goes for me here. I don't know what happened between Sunday and Tuesday with Tim, so that's disappointing.
But I think if you're going to do what he did, you owe an explanation.
Right, it should be up front.
Yeah.
If there is some kind of change of opinion, if there is something where he says, I'm seeing the rules now a little bit differently, if there's something, some kind of explanation is necessary for him to just change his mind and say, this is what I'm going to do, show up to the meeting, do the exact opposite, that's unacceptable.
I think his excuse was that there was a consensus within the task force, which we know is a lie, and he had to have known that was a lie too, and that was exposed during the meeting because there was some leaker, because email came in during the meeting that someone emailed like, hey, I'm hearing you think there was a consensus. There was not. Two people
It was
were
by
like,
the people that actually were on the
so
task force.
somebody leaked that. But
is Tammy still in the comment section? Has Tim Miller reached out to you, and is he giving you an explanation? And then CD8, Carrie Heinzman.
I think she actually voted no against the having no convention. I think she voted the right way.
I had heard she abstained. Is that not?
Yeah, she did abstain. That's right.
Okay.
Carrie, I think she just goes by the book. She's reading the Constitution during the meeting. She's like, the rules say we have to do this.
Yeah.
So, generally speaking, I have a history with her husband.
Tammy says he said he wanted unity. That was really not his job. No, he didn't give an explanation. There you go. Tammy Berry, I'm sure.
That is not how you unify. They just pissed off the whole grassroots.
They did, yeah, and they literally wanted these guys just to go away. And Tammy, don't let your guys go away. That's what they want.
It would have been so easy to just say we reinstate these delegates, call a convention, and then they're going to have their issues still. But that's the best way to unify to a certain degree. Now it's just more division.
Well, and I think one of the most interesting points you made is you heard from hundreds of people. Some heard from thousands, but you heard from hundreds of people in the grassroots, and only one person on the opposite side, and that's basically Tommy Miracle.
And she actually said, Laura Miracle said, she wants center-right politics.
There you go.
We need to move center-right.
That's how we win,
Yeah.
just center
just
right.
become Democrats,
Yeah, become
Don't
Democrats.
fight for principle and values. Just, fold, and just in order to keep some power here, we'll just become Democrats.
That's what this is all about. We just want to be part of a team. Doesn't matter what the team stands for.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, I will join your sports team, but our objective is not all getting the ball in the net or, whatever, getting the football across the end zone. That we're not going to have the same objective. Just imagine how a team would function. Let's just imagine you joined a sports team, and half the people are trying to shoot hoops, and the other half are trying to throw a football into the end zone. Well, you're going to do a great job there, guys. You're not doing the same thing.
Yeah, you're going to be on the team, but you're not going to win.
Right. If you want to be unified, you better know that the game is football here and it's not basketball. And so you're unified and you're moving towards the same objective. And so what unifies the Republican Party? Conservative values. That's what the Republican Party pretends it supports. Let's go back to Tammy here.
She says, Tommy and Laura and BPOU want Nathan and I removed from the party indefinitely.
Yep.
And Phil Cannon says, let's be real, this is all about protecting Fishbach.
Do you think did that ever get discussed on the state exec committee about how this is going to affect the Congressional District 7 endorsing challenge?
Yeah, there were some fleeting comments about that, and it was never really discussed thoroughly, but definitely Fishbach came up and how it might, cost her an endorsement. And it likely would have. It sounds like there's a legitimate contender.
Do you believe, and this is my belief, but that's what this is about?
I think so.
Yeah.
I do. I think, Miracle's probably buds with Fishbach. He's the money man, and Hand's going to do what he's told to do.
Yeah.
Is my opinion there. I mean, I don't know. I can't get in their heads. I know they lie. We know this. You lie once, I'm not going to trust you anymore.
Yeah, it was some parting advice from my grandpa is, and business advice is never to lie because, if you're just truthful and you fail, you can work with somebody. You know where they're coming from. But if you lie, you don't know where they're coming from. If you can't believe in the word that they tell you, it's hard. You can't move forward in a relationship, a business relationship, but it also applies to everything else. It's one of the things that dooms politics is we just don't believe these people anymore.
Yeah.
This is the thing about you, Mark, is I literally believe you. This is what's so good about you is you're so authentic. When you talk, people are like, damn, that guy's telling the truth.
I think how I got the 82% at convention, again, I think people just realize, wow, this guy's just a normal guy. He doesn't really want to be doing this. He's just speaking from the heart. But you're not going to make it in this political landscape that way. Your own party's going to screw you. They don't want honesty.
Well, that's why we named the show Truth Hurts, is because our goal is to always tell the truth. I mean, it doesn't mean we get everything right. I mean, obviously, we're human beings, but we're telling you stuff that we believe to be the truth. In fact, yours is called The Truth Expedition, your show.
So we're all about truth, man. Truth
is
so important.
You're trying to find the truth, right? So it's hard. Sometimes you got to go find that truth. But the whole point is you're telling the truth. You got 2 minutes. Okay. Yeah. You're trying to tell that truth, and sometimes that truth is hurtful. In other words, it would be much easier to listen to this lie that really it's just the Democrats that are the problem. Help us stop the madness.
Does it say anything about election integrity on that?
Surprisingly, it doesn't. No, I got to read in here. It also says punish taxpayers, families, and seniors with runaway inflation. Last I checked, the Republicans are just as guilty on inflation as the Democrats. What's Truth Seeker have to say?
Truth Seeker says the party needs to be taken back by the people from the establishment. And Freedom Junkie says the Democrats don't operate to appease Republicans. Why do we do it for them?
And that's a great point in the sense that it's not necessarily you have to start a new party. It's that you got to take back that party.
And we could, and that's why they don't want all those delegates. It's
that's
just a
right.
major step
that's another
toward
reason they
taking
don't
over. It's
Great
Fishbach,
point.
and it's like you get all that huge body of delegates in there. They're going to take over because we have. I mean, the last state convention, the big one, it was like 48% of those people were brand new.
Yeah.
As people are waking up, what's happening in this world, people are stepping forward. I never wanted to do any of this. I just wanted to live my life, but I can't anymore. And a lot of people are becoming active, becoming delegates, but no, they don't want that. They don't want people part of the party.
And that's the mission of Action for Liberty, is to equip these people to be successful in politics and make sure they don't go away, because that's what these guys had counted on. It's their old strategies. Let these guys come, be disappointed, and go away. It's a terrible strategy, by the way, because then they wonder why they can't fundraise. Right. I don't know. Maybe people are no longer going to believe in the con that you guys have been pulling off.
And it's a con, too. One more thing before I got to go here. I had a couple, most of my donations, I raised $80K, like maxed out. Almost all $50 donations. I had a couple people in my district that, wealthy, donated the max, and the word got out through the grapevine, and Han went to their house, kind of cold called them to try to get them to donate, and they called me after like, who is this? I do not trust this guy. Like, just,
wow.
They just, intuition.
They work against you, in the primary, and then they have the audacity to go work your donor list.
Yep. So irritating.
Yep. Fascinating stuff. And then they don't come across that well.
And they did
Shocker.
not donate.
Yeah.
They'll
exactly.
donate to candidates.
Well, I would say, if you got this letter like I did, don't give to them. Give it to a group like Action for Liberty. You know?
Absolutely.
Which, by the way, we got a great president here at Action for Liberty, Eric Mortensen. Much better than the former president. That guy.
Yeah, I remember that guy.
But yeah, don't give to these guys. Give to Action for Liberty. They'll stand up for you. All right, Mark. Man, I don't even feel like we hardly scratched the surface.
I know. 50 minutes goes so fast, man.
You know what? Here's what we're going to do. You wanted to do a show with me. We haven't done it yet on your show.
We should.
So let me promote that show. Let's do that because we don't have as much of a timeline on
Yeah,
your
we
show.
can go along there
Let's
and we'll
do
talk
that.
about the A4L grifter group.
Yeah. We'll get
Yeah.
into some weeds there.
Yeah, let's do that maybe in the next couple weeks here. So, yeah, we'll keep you posted. And I'll come back on the show here. My schedule is opening up more, so maybe next week I can come back on and we can finish this conversation.
And you're a working man, so you got to head over to the
Yeah, I'm
hospital.
going to work,
do
man.
good work.
Talk about the belly of the beast.
So thank you. And then for you guys that want to stick around for the OT, Mark's equipped me with some things, a little behind-the-scenes look. So there you go. There's my little teaser. Go to the Rumble channel and click on Join, and then you could be part of our I think it's $8 a month to subscribe in your exclusive club, all right? I guess you could do it 1 month and go, it's just not for me, and just cancel. There you go. But at least you get the good stuff. You'll want to come back. Trust me. Good stuff. Thank you very much.
So I'm out of here. Thanks, everyone, for watching the show.
We'll
see you soon.
And we're not quite done here. We're going to continue on. Once again, we want to thank John Galt Mortgage Company, our newest sponsor. Go to johngaltmortgage.com if you're financing a home that you bought through Warren Wessel. Give John Galt Mortgage Company your business. Next story here. Let's go to. What do we want to do? Let's do transgender sports.
Mm-hmm.
Dawson, pull up the article. This is on truthhurtsnews.com. K-Wall says, cheers, Mark. Be well.
Mm-hmm.
How can we get the straw poll back at the caucus, says Freedom Junkie. That's the party's decision. Failed candidate. Great work, Mark. Boy, do you guys see the same thing that I see in Mark? Like a real, genuine, honest guy? Like, it just, I don't know what it is, but it just comes through the guy. Like, some people just have that sense that you're like, yeah, this guy's not bullshitting me at all. He's telling me the exact truth. Someone who is bullshitting you is Lee Finke, the dude on the right that actually is saying he's a woman and now getting recognized by USA Today, Women of the Year, and NPR, and the most influential women in Minnesota, even though he's a dude. And on the left there is Zach Stevenson, who, if he was playing basketball, he'd shoot on both hoops. You know what? Without William here, no one appreciates those jokes as much. Zach came out as bisexual. Because, it's all identity politics on the Democrat side. So he had to have his flavor of the month, and he's bisexual. In a marriage with a woman and kids. Boy, that's a real healthy thing for a marriage. And there, of course, in the background, a dude playing in women's sports. You just got to love it. This is the modern Democrat Party for you guys. These two are authors on the bill. It's called HF 4394, which, if passed in Minnesota, would allow boys to be in girls' sports and use their restrooms and use their locker rooms. This is what it says, actually. School policy, a school district or charter school board, in consultation with students, parents, and community organizations, to the extent practicable, must adopt, implement, and where appropriate, review and revise on a cycle consistent with other district policies, a written policy on gender inclusion and consistent with this section. The policy must require, at minimum, a district or charter school to, number one, respect all students' sexual orientation, gender identity, gender expression, and gender nonconformity. By the way, isn't this one of the big divides between the Democrats and Republicans? Is Democrats want top-down approach when it comes to schools, and some Republicans are like, I don't know about that. Now, once again, I'm talking about like the general grassroots Republicans. It was George W. Bush that had No Child Left Behind, right?
Yep.
So you have Republicans that say, no, the federal government should have mandates too.
Mm-hmm. Right. And just when you read that sentence, respect all students. Okay, so that's such a broad thing to say. All students, sexual orientation, gender identity, gender expression, and gender nonconformity. So let's say that there is a student who is 17 years old, and they say their sexual orientation attracts them to, little kids.
Yes.
Is that supposed to be respected according to this law? It is.
So it
And,
does
so
because
let's
of what
say-
they did the Human Rights Act.
Right, and so, same thing with the gender identity. Let's say somebody wants to start identifying as a pedophile or something, they can, especially when there's no hard lines on this, it's not black and white. They say that you can identify as whatever you want. Now it has to be respected and it has to be affirmed and all that. So just the fact that they say all is one of those things that it's like, it's not even applicable. It's not something that law could actually provide for, but it's not good what they're doing here.
Exactly. Number 2, identify and address students by the preferred names and pronouns that align with their gender identity. Boy, isn't that interesting? We all have to do the gymnastics. Number 3, and by the way, that's, the whole Jordan Peterson thing. That's compelled speech. You have to force people to use the pronouns that other people want. Where do you stand on that, Dawson? Like forcing people? Because you're a free speech guy, even though you're not necessarily aligned with us on everything.
Yeah. So, what part about it in particular?
Like, do you think it should be against the law? Sorry, let me rephrase it. Do you think it should the law be able to mandate people use pronouns according to someone's desires? Do you have the right to address somebody the way that you think that they are?
No, I don't think that that's something that can be legalized or not, but I do think that they can, whoever you're, like, if someone's getting misgendered or something, they're totally in the right to be able to call you a dick or something.
Right. Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
you're just being a
I
prick.
totally agree with that statement. Yep. If you find insulting that I misgendered you, then you can insult me back. That's America.
Yep.
Number 3, upon the request of a student and their parent or guardian, change student names and pronouns in school digital systems to the extent possible to align with their gender identity. I'm just going to scratch over this. Number 4,
Which is not going to be great for school nurses or something if they got some boy that comes in and they say, oh, well, it says that you're a girl, and it's not good. It
and
doesn't
then
make
her
any sense.
penis was hurting that day.
Yeah.
Number 4, within academic programming, prohibit the separation of students and curricular materials based on gender unless it serves a legitimate pedagogical tool. I don't even know what the hell that means.
I didn't either. When I was reading this bill, I thought I might have to look up that word. But, that's one of those things, I guess, sex education is the big one where they split people up into boys and girls classrooms. And, so it's not good that they want to be able to prevent teachers and people from being able to do that. And, it's almost one of those things that when you read this bill and and based on the way that they're defining gender and everything, they try to make it so the gender is completely meaningless. If that's the case, then why are there even bathrooms? Why are there bathrooms that are coded for men and for women? If we wanted to take this logic to the fullest extent of what they want, it should just be one big universal bathroom
right.
for everybody.
Isn't that what they're doing, though?
Well, that's what's coming down the line.
It probably is what's coming down the line. And there are, what is it, Denmark that does that? Pedagogical is relating to teaching. There you go. Mm-hmm. English lesson today.
Ooh, you guys want to know my opinion on bathrooms and gender separation?
No, I want to get through this
It's
first.
a really good one.
All right, hold on. Let me get through this. Number 5, provide all students the opportunity to participate in co-curricular and extracurricular activities in a manner consistent with their gender identity, including but not limited to intramural and interscholastic athletics and in conformance with applicable Minnesota High School League. So, in other words, let the boys compete in the girls' sports. And number 6, provide all students with access to facilities that align with the student's gender identity. So, in other words, locker rooms. Number 7, respect the safety and privacy of all students according to state and federal privacy laws.
Except this isn't going to respect the privacy of the students, especially the girls, and this just goes to show that Finke isn't a woman, because like any woman would never have any kind of policy that is going to like try to make the bathrooms less safe. It's going to try to allow men to be into their areas. True feminists are the ones that say that we want women exclusive areas and everything like that. So it's just proof that, Finke obviously couldn't be a woman because Finke can't even understand the real issues that women are up against.
I mean, women, you don't want dudes in your bathroom. I'm just going to put it that way. There's a difference. You don't want them in your bathroom. Okay. This could become law. Let's click on that link here where it says HF 4394. This House bill has 31 authors, Stinky Finky being the number 1. Mm-hmm. Brian Curran, who's okay, what is Brian? Is that
They say gay they.
Gay they, okay. Our fan of the show, Joachim. Okay, so we already talked about. Let's see, we've got Stevenson, who's bi, so he's the B part. So we got the T, we got the B, we got the G. No, we got the L.
Yeah, and I see Josiah Hill. That's who.
Okay,
Mark
there we go. We got the
Bishofsky
G.
and-
So we got the G.
Yeah, Mark Bishofsky ran against Josiah Hill, who's listed on there, and I think the.
Do we have a G though?
Oh, and Vernig, the new representative, is in there too. So, which was a swing district just a few years ago. So some of these Democrats better be careful what they're signing on to. And I can't imagine the Democrats are actually going to push this through this session. I don't know if you think they're going to. It would be political suicide for a lot of these swing district Democrats in the House. So I can't imagine they're going to push it through. But like I said, it'd be career suicide.
Well, you can see right there,
try.
it's stuck in the Education Policy Committee, hasn't moved. But here's what I always fear is they'll throw shit in at the last minute. See, this is the whole thing. We're already past a deadline. All bills that were going to get traction in the Minnesota House need to have been heard. And I think it was by like March 31st. I can't remember what the day was. But essentially, they had to be. Oh, that was Transgender Visibility Day and also Easter. After that, they're not supposed to be able to be passed. But the sessions always end with a backroom deal with the governor and the House Majority Leader and Speaker and the Senate Majority Leader, and then they just throw shit into bills.
Right.
So it's like, what's the whole point in the timeline? You'll do it anyhow.
Right, they might just end up tossing that into some sort of education policy omnibus bill or something like
Hundreds
that.
of pages, right?
Exactly. People need to be on the lookout because that's the way it works. That they put these bills out there and then they sneak it into the omnibus bills, and then because the omnibus bills are so long, people just don't end up reading it. So people need to be on the lookout.
All right, I want to get to our last topic. And before I do, once again, we're going to do the OT, and we're going to have some pretty good stuff for you here. So if you haven't joined us on Locals yet, I saw Razzle Dazzle originally went there. I think you want to watch the regular show on Rumble and then go to Locals after the fact. But go ahead, start signing up for that Locals account right now so that you're ready for the broadcast when we go live. And by the way, have we just lost the Rumble rant game now? I think we did keep the streak going with Tucker, so thank you, Tucker. This story, and this is what should scare the shit out of us, not because we should all be worried about the bird flu. We should be worried about the fact that they might use another COVID-like pandemic to cheat in an election. And that's how the Democrats won. You have to remember that. They had an election basically that tilted so much in their advantage because they could harvest ballots. So let's go to the story. This is from
Right,
ABC.
if the election laws were not changed, Trump would have still been the president. No questions
There's
asked.
almost no question about that. I think most people can realize that. Let's go to ABC News, and this is covered by all major outlets right now. This is from last night. What you need to know about bird flu after person became infected in Texas. It's not supposed to jump to humans. By the way, I see this headline. My head instantly goes, I kind of don't think that's... how do they know that's bird flu? I'm kind of like bullshit, right? We'll get into that, okay? There are only 2 cases on record reported in the U.S. according to the CDC, because, the CDC is someone that's opinion should be very valid these days. Bird flu, also known as the highly pathogenic avian influenza H5N1 virus, was first detected in 1996 among birds in China. According to the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, 1 year later, an outbreak occurred in Hong Kong that resulted in 18 human cases, including 6 deaths after the people were infected directly by birds. Okay, so once again, that's a 33% death rate. Lethality is 33%. Oh, go ahead and read that.
Oh, yeah, Brad Ganser, $10 Rumble Rant says, pandemics now mirror election seasons.
Isn't that?
Exactly.
It really
Great
is
point.
interesting. And once again, I'm not trying to, one of the things that I understand why this happens now, running a news agency, we're 3 months into running this as a private entity. There's a tendency to want to just shock people with stories. It's one of the reasons we'll probably never do a daily show, because eventually start looking for content. You have to kind of fake outrage. So I think there's a lot of that going around, but we have to be cognizant that there's a reason people would want to use another pandemic to help out with elections. And the story just reeks of it. By the way, I'm not making this up. This is obviously ABC News. And just Google bird flu. You'll see a ton of people are covering this thing, okay? All right. In late 2021, a version of the virus arrived on U.S. shores and was detected in wild birds. Since February 2022, the virus has been causing outbreaks in commercial poultry supply, leaving over 80 million birds affected in nearly all states, according to the CDC. Nearly 10,000 wild birds have also been impacted. By the way, we're coming up on turkey hunting season, which I still plan on eating the turkey I shoot. So, yeesh. While the virus is most common in birds, it has more recently spread to some other animal populations, such as harbor seals, mountain lions, raccoons, polar bears, red foxes, as well as striped skunks, according to the U.S. Department of Agriculture. Rarely, the virus can infect humans after interacting with an animal. Most recently, a dairy worker in Texas was presumed to be infected by sick cattle, according to the CDC. This is the second human case ever to be reported in the U.S. Now, let me read that again for you real quick. Most recently, a dairy worker in Texas was presumed to be infected by sick cattle. You got, what was that, 6 paragraphs down, something like that? 4 paragraphs down, and we learned that actually the headline might not be true. It's presumed and maybe not at all accurate, right? Mm-hmm. There's not been any spread of the virus between people in the U.S., according to the CDC director, Dr. Mandy Cohen. The rest of the public remains low, she added. A total of nearly 900 human cases have been identified since 2003, with about half dying from the infection, so basically a 50% lethality rate. According to the World Health Organization, almost all human cases were linked to close contact with infected birds or contaminated environments. Okay, and, once again, you can just look around. Most of the mainstream media is reporting on it. I don't know what to make of it. The thing about COVID was it was very contagious, right? And it was very contagious because it spread through airborne droplets or through airborne pathogens, right? And those pathogens were so small they went right through cloth masks, right? So it spread real easily, which they knew right away. Mm-hmm. So when you were told to Lysol down all your groceries, it wasn't true because it just passes through, right? The air. Freaking liars. Mm-hmm. That's why we need a double mask.
Yeah.
All right. So who knows? Who knows? I'm going to stay on top of this because it's just so interesting to see this thing come up. Like, literally, Joe Biden cannot rally the base. It's impossible for this guy to rally the base. So if you're really going to push Joe Biden forward, and I'm beginning to think maybe I'm not so accurate on my call that they're going to go to that convention and come out with a different candidate, which I assumed was going to be Michelle Obama, then you kind of need a big advantage, and the big advantage is what happened last time. Everyone is partitioned and segregated and not leaving their home, and therefore you make elections very easy. You don't even encourage them to actually show up and go to the polling place. I don't know. I wouldn't put it past these guys. Can they get away with it again? I don't know, man. What do you think, Jesse?
Yeah, I don't know. And the media would cover it way differently. Unlike COVID, where they would just blame Trump, they would make it out like, this isn't Biden's fault. How could this fall upon him? And, they would take every advantage they could out of it. I don't know if that's their plan. Obviously, we need to be on the lookout because we've seen them use a disease before for their end. So, I guess we'll just have to wait and see and follow.
Yep. All right, let's go to the OT. We're going to go over and switch to our locals channel. So if you're on Rumble, I want to make sure you hit that join button and be part of our exclusive community. We couldn't do the show without you guys. The Rumble Rants, Brad Ganser, Tucker, I almost said Tucker Carlson. Tucker. Thank you very much, Tucker. We couldn't do it for the monthly supporters. We're trying to do a show that's not relying on entities that we don't believe and trust in, which is why we scrutinize very much the sponsors on the show, and we're kept at 3, so you're not going to get any more than 3 at any time, which is Alpine Cabinetry, East St. Cloud, Warren Wessel Realty. Let me make sure you get his number, because if you're buying or selling a home, you want to call my friend Warren Wessel, who sings in the choir at my church, by the way. Good man. 612-419-7453, and our friends over at John Galt Mortgage Company, who actually run a company and tell you exactly what they believe on up front. By the way, I've been told their beer, because John Galt Mortgage Company has a beer, and I'm going to be on their can.
Yeah.
Okay, that's not true. But anyhow, they won't put Dylan Mulvaney on their can. I'll put that. You know what? You can trust it. John Galt Mortgage Company will never have Dylan Mulvaney on their beer cans. Go to johngaltmortgage.com. There you go. Go check out their social media. I'm just going to say, Check out their social media. Actually, we got to get them on Locals. You will be so impressed at how they're just so open about what they believe in. I love it. Absolutely love it. All right. Thank you guys so much. We'll be back on Tuesday with another show, and we'll see the rest of you guys on Locals.